I can't even imagine. I mean, the folk and powers to be cannot even begin to imagine what a child experienced in one of the more lower income areas. Trauma to your mind, trauma to your spirit, trauma to everything that you can that exists in you, and it just keeps growing and perpetuating. Okay, guys, let's pull it together. Let's get it. I'm talking about starting at 5 and 6 years old, where they're responsible for the next sibling. This year alone, when school started, I'm currently working with a family of 12 kids, and for 32 days, they didn't have any electricity. So many kids have PTSD that you wouldn't even think so. They walk around every day with a mask on because that's what they're taught. You're taught to go and smile and be happy and act like everything's all right, when you don't know where the next meal is going to come from.
Everything from prostitution and drug slinging and robberies and everybody doing so much stuff over here.
When you live in a community that has a lot of chaos, not just within your household, but in the broader community, you never get that release. And so what happens when you've experienced trauma and the triggers, whether it's the police sirens or the sounds of gunshots, are happening over and over again.
Anytime anything go on, here comes ambulances, here comes fire department, here comes the police, sirens, all these things. And then you find little babies, 3, 4, 5 years old, just standing there looking. You see parents crying and folks hollering and screaming, and they're internalizing this. But you're talking about children who are sponges, sucking up. They know the difference between negative and positive. They know the difference when the mom has a boyfriend that's coming in there that's not the baby daddy, beating up on her, slamming her, throwing her all around. I mean, all of this stuff they get exposed to. And they watch it day after day.
So when we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, we often think about people in the military. However, the trauma of children and adults, a lot of the key features are depression or sometimes aggressive outburst. It could be flashbacks. And so for me, as a psychologist, you got to ask, what's happened in the last 48 hours? So has a family member died? Have they witnessed something that no child should have witnessed? And if so, their acting out behavior is absolutely appropriate.
But all these other previous things caused this stuff to happen. So now, as a result of this child experiencing this, having to feed and defend for himself, you're saying at 10 years old, I've had to run drugs, I've had to defend my parents, my mom, I had to protect my brothers and sisters. Then you say, go home and go to bed. What? Or get up and go to school the next day. What? And you saying sit there and be quiet and act like a child? I'm not a child any longer. My childhood has been snatched.
I was working in a school in Washington, D.C., and some children found a body in the playground. And it was one of the children that I was working with. And at first, the child, he was acting as if everything was just fine. And for me, I couldn't imagine for the 7-year-old to find a body that everything was just fine. We played for about a half an hour, and then suddenly he got comfortable and he looked at me and he said, "Miss Keisha, is someone gonna find me in the back of a playground one day?" And I had to tell him no. He just needed that reassurance, and he didn't have a space to actually voice that concern. That was something that I felt was an issue, is that people were not expecting him to be traumatized. What is that? What is that where that isn't something that is expected to cause trauma? it's not normal. It's maybe normal numerically, but it's not normal as far as health.
What we're trying to do is provide the missing pieces. Realizing that you are broken. You're broken because of all these things. I watched all the trauma go on. I watched all the drama go on. I watched the shooting. I watched the beatings. I watched all these things go on. And nobody helped me process this throughout life. That's not a typical way of life. That's not the norm. And people don't want to recognize how detrimental this is and has become to our community. It is ridiculous. Kids don't even think and believe that there's a way out.
Living in these high stress communities, they take a toll on you. And those are the things that we have to consider when we think about violence in predominantly Black, resource poor communities.